Have you ever wondered how some people just seem to get a following while other people work so hard and they just don't get that following? Well, in today's episode 230 of the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show, I'm going to share with you some proven strategies and reasons why people will suddenly become your fans.
Welcome to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show, where your host, Kathleen Gage, shines the spotlight on vegan and plant-based businesses and entrepreneurs from all walks of life committed to cruelty-free eating, healthy lifestyles, animal compassion, and the environment. Enjoy the show.
So welcome to episode 230. Today we're doing it a little bit differently, and it really is around what I've been noticing as far as my own buying habits, as far as my own follow habits, and what I'm noticing from other people in the internet marketing space. Now, I come from a background where I've been doing online marketing since the late 90s, so it's been well over 20 years and closer to 25 years. And in that time, a lot has changed. Early on, it was very rare for people to even have an email address, let alone a website, let alone a social media presence, because in the late 90s, we didn't have social media the way that we have today. Today, we've got the most popular ones for business would be LinkedIn, and then you have Twitter, which is a good engagement platform. You've got Facebook, which there's mixed feelings right now about Facebook, my own feelings included, because I keep getting flagged for posts that I'm making, and usually it has the word vegan in it, which is really interesting. You also have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have YouTube, and there's countless other platforms. And so in today's world, compared to how it was 25 years ago, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more noise. There's a lot more hype than in the past, although there used to be a lot of hype in the past. And what I really have noticed is people will follow somebody for a while before they actually make the decision to buy. Much more now, easy for me to say, much more now than in the past. At least that's my buying habit. Just recently, I bought a program from Michael Sandler. He has Inspired Nation podcast show. He also teaches automatic writing. And as a writer for many, many years, it's kind of the next level of my writing. And yet I followed him for probably a year before I made the decision to buy his program. And it wasn't for lack of funds. It was for lack of time, lack of interest, lack of commitment. I just didn't have the time. I didn't have the full interest that I have today. And I just didn't know if I would be committed to finishing his program. And today's buyers are actually making much more strategic choices than they have in the past. Now, granted, there will always be the impulse buyers. You have the people that just hit the buy now, buy now, buy now button. And a lot of them never end up using your program, or they may wait until right before the guarantee is up and then ask for a refund. By the way, this is Kathleen Gage, and you're listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. And my whole purpose is helping vegan business owners, whether they be speakers, authors, coaches, consultants, manufacturers, nonprofits, to get as much visibility as possible in the most effective way possible. And I've had my business 28 years. I've been in this space for a little over a year, very actively in the vegan space for a little over a year. And I've done quite well in positioning myself within that market. And a lot of it has to do with being very, very clear on the market that I want to work with, what value I bring to the market, and what I'm looking to do to help business owners within that market. And it's the same with other people who are doing what they're doing. The people who are going to be around are those that really look at what is the value that I bring to the market. And as you are looking as a buyer, the most important thing to do is to determine, do I really need this information? Do I want this information? Will I benefit from this information? Those are really key questions to ask yourself in order to make sure that you're making a wise investment. A person that I just came across, and it's really interesting because I found her stuff by way of something Michael Sandler had said, and it had to do with Dharma. What is your Dharma? Which basically, what is your life's purpose? What is your life's work? And so I started going down the rabbit hole on Dr. Google, and started looking for information on Dharma. And I know through Wayne Dyer, I've studied the works of Wayne Dyer for probably 35 years, maybe 40 years. And I know that through him, I learned about Dharma, but it's like right now that is resurging for me, and it's something I have an interest in. So I started looking up Dharma and looking up experts who speak on Dharma. And I came across the name Sahara Rose. Sahara Rose. Look her up. She's pretty amazing. And I thought, wow, she's really rising to the top. I would assume she's a newcomer to this space. And I started doing some research, and this woman has been around for quite a while. Now, what's interesting is once I was exposed to one piece of her information and I really liked it, I wanted more. So I went on Apple Podcast and I searched out, searched out her podcast show and started listening to some of her podcasts. And I did something that's very unusual. I usually take a morning run, and I'll combine a morning run with a morning walk. And during my run, I usually listen to high energy music so that I have that energy going. And then I listen to something either meditative, meditative walk, something spiritual. And that's where I've been listening to a lot of Michael Sandler's work. And yesterday, what I decided to do was, rather than listen to music, I decided to put on a podcast episode of Sahara Rose. And I loved what she was talking about. It had to do with your Dharma, your life purpose. And it really resonated with me. And what was most interesting is I had a better time in my running than I had previously with the high energy music. And I thought, that's interesting, because I was just getting in a flow. And that's really what your life's work is about, is that you get in a flow. But I digress. The whole point of me sharing about Sahara Rose is I started doing my research on her and looking for more and more information that I could read about her, I could listen, I could watch. And what I came to discover is she's been around for quite some time. She has well over 400 episodes on her podcast show. She's got 3 or 4 books on Amazon, probably more. She's got a lot of stuff written about her. She's on YouTube. And so I'm able to immerse myself in her information as I get closer to making a buying decision from her. And the whole point of telling you this is, one, to let you know some of my interests, but also to really have you look at how consistent are you with getting information out to market. It's really amazing how some people say, well, I just want to explode on the marketplace. I want to be seen by a lot of people. I want to be followed by a lot of people. And they don't put out much content at all. The reality is that when somebody likes your information, when they resonate with your information, when they align with your information, they're going to look for more and more and more. So I encourage you to really look at what is the content that you can put out to market. And the beauty of today's social media platforms is you can do short form content and you can do long form content. And before we go any further, I want to remind you that you're listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. I'm Kathleen Gage. I'm your host. And I would encourage you, go ahead and subscribe and Google my name, because you'll find I have a lot of information out to market. And what you'll also find is that 20 years ago, I was writing about marketing information, and yet today there's a different twist and a different flavor to it, because now I work primarily within the vegan space. I work with people who are in the vegan space as authors, as coaches, as consultants. I help people put summits together, virtual summits, which is a great way to elevate your visibility. And I'm very clear that that's the market I want to work with. And that's the thing about being in business for 28 plus years, is that rarely will somebody start a business 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago and do the exact same thing today as they did 25 years ago. If they are doing the same thing, more power to them, but most of us grow and change, and we look at different ways to bring our products and services to market. So with that in mind, what I encourage you to do is really look at, who do you want to reach? Who's going to benefit from your information? So that would be the first question that you want to ask yourself, is who's going to benefit from your information? The next thing that you want to ask yourself is, what kind of information can I bring to market? Does my market want to hear short form videos and hear and watch short form videos? Do they want long form information? Do they want to read content? Do they want to buy a book from me? Do they want to join a virtual class from me? Do they want to be a part of a summit that I'm putting together? Do they want to listen to me on a podcast show? Do they want me to interview people within my space on my own podcast show? So those are some of the most important questions that you should ask yourself. And then every single day, put some kind of content out to market. And a great way to start this process is comment on other people's posts and give some thought to how you're responding. Today, my good friend and colleague, Katrina Fox, she posted something about the dairy industry. And I don't remember what country it is. It might be the UK. They're starting to have plant-based milks rather than cow milk. And that's a big victory within the vegan market and actually for animal compassion. And so I put together a comment that I put some thought into, and I didn't just throw up, oh, nice post. I actually put thought into what I wanted to say, how I wanted to position my response, which by being engaging, there will be people who read that, then people who look at my profile, then people who say, oh, she has 2 podcast shows, and then people who look for articles, then people who might look for classes that I host, things of that nature. Your market is going to be the exact same way. If they like what you have to offer and you don't have a lot to offer, you're really missing a great opportunity. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're constantly putting great information out to market. You want to have your own perspective and point of view. And the one challenge that I see people have is they try to be liked by everybody. You're not going to be liked by anybody, no matter what your position is. And I remember hearing years ago, even Mother Teresa had enemies. So there you go. You will have the people who love you, the people who like you, and the people who can't stand you. And that's all par for the course. However, you don't necessarily want to go in to be an antagonist. What you want to do is put your information out, know what you stand for, know who you are, and be willing to have a perspective and a point of view. So I encourage you, really look at how much information are you putting out to market? Are you consistent with how you're putting out information? And I encourage you also, visit my website at veganvisibility.com. That's veganvisibility.com. And wherever you're hearing this or seeing this, please leave a review. Please subscribe so that more people can enjoy the content that I put out to market. Am I for everybody? No. I actually work primarily, again, within the vegan space. And there are people who they will say, well, I'm a meat eater and that's the way it is. God bless you. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to work with everybody. I'm looking to work with a core group of people who have a very important role in life, and I can help them to escalate their visibility. This is Kathleen Gage, wishing you a great day, a great evening, a great middle of the night, wherever you happen to be listening or watching this particular episode of the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. Have a great, great day.
You've been listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. Be sure to subscribe to get notified when the next episode is live. And we always appreciate reviews. Join us next time for more inspiration, education, and motivation to build your business one cruelty-free and healthy person at a time.